Here are my NXT Stand and Deliver predictions. On the pre-show, we have Hank and Tank, Shiloh Hill, Eli Knight, and Ren Sinclair versus Birthright in a 10-person mixed tag match. Now, NXT has been pushing Birthright, but after their loss in the tag team #1 contenders tourney, I can see Birthright getting the win here to keep the momentum going. Then we have the Vanity Project versus Los Americanos for the NXT Tag Team Championships. In the beginning, honestly, I was not really a fan of Los Americanos, but after seeing them in AAA and also seeing their run recently in NXT, I think me and a lot of people are starting to get behind them. But with all that said, I do think Vanity Project is going to retain in this match. They just won the titles, and honestly, I think they're a solid heel faction alongside Jackson Drake, of course. Then we have Sol Ruca versus Zarya, and this is something that I feel like a lot of people, including me, have been waiting for. For a while, Zarya was showing little glimpses and teases of her turning on Sol, but it wasn't until recently that she actually pulled the trigger. And what's really interesting about this match is I want to see the dynamic when it comes to the crowd in St. Louis. The last time these two had a promo battle on NXT, the crowd was really behind Zarya, and it was kind of weird seeing Sol Ruca being booed. But it's cool to see that the crowd is split for the most part when it comes to Sol Ruca and Zarya and who's right and who's wrong. Now, you're gonna hear me mention this a couple times during this video, but since we are in WrestleMania season, a lot of times after WrestleMania is when the call-ups happen, and I'd be surprised if Sol Ruca isn't called up. Now, of course, depending on how the outcome of this match goes, they could be having another match to run it back. But I think Zarya just needs to win here more than anyone. And I do think Sol Ruca is ready for the main roster, but I guess we'll see. But I do see Zarya getting the win here. Then we got Miles Bourne versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT North American Championship. Now, Johnny Gargano has been on this redemption arc, trying to get back to his true self. You know, that Johnny wrestling from NXT that we all know and love. And I can see a reality where NXT does give Johnny the title to, you know, fulfill his redemption arc. But at the same time, I do think they are trying to push Miles Bourne as one of the faces of the men's division. And plus, back on SmackDown, you know, there is a story brewing with Candice LeRae and Motor City Machine Gun. So I'd be surprised if Johnny's not involved with that. I think this is going to be a great match, but I do see Miles Bourne retaining the NXT North American Championship. Then on the women's side, we have Tatum Paxley versus Blake Monroe for the NXT Women's North American Championship. Now, these are two women that I think deserve a proper reign with any title. We have Tatum Paxley, who was NXT Women's Champion, but it didn't last too long. And then we have Blake Monroe, who was also the NXT Women's North American Champion. But you know what happened with that? Now, the reason I say that is because while I personally wouldn't be mad at any outcome in this match, I do think Tatum does deserve a proper reign. And plus, I would not be surprised if Blake Monroe gets called up. I think she is definitely one of the women who are more than ready to be called up. And I wouldn't be surprised if WWE pulls the trigger. So I do think Tatum Paxley is going to retain the NXT Women's North American Championship. Now, let me tell you something. This match right here, I think is my most anticipated match of the night. JC Jane versus Lola Vice versus Kendall Gray for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, this match was recently made after the controversial decision of Kendall Gray versus Lola Vice on NXT. And honestly, I think this match is going to cook. Now, I'm going to go on to say that I think JC Jane's title reign has been completely underrated. I think she is a great champion. She's a great heel champion. But I do think her reign ends at Stand and Deliver. Now, NXT can go about this in two ways. They could either give Lola Vice the championship, which is someone who I think definitely deserves it, especially story-wise. She has the past with JC Jane and how she was screwed out of the title by Lainey Reed. Then on the other side, you have Kendall Gray, who is, I mean, she's incredible in the ring. She's definitely the breakout star in the NXT women's division. And you want to strap a rocket to her, you know what I'm saying? Winning the NXT Women's Championship will do that. Now, personally, as a fan, I really think either one of those women would be a great champion, so I wouldn't be mad at either. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to go and say I think Lola Vice will be the new women's champion. Last but not least, we have the men's fatal four-way for the NXT Championship. There's a couple things happening in this match. We have Ricky Saynes and Ethan Page, who claim they are best friends and nothing could ever get in between them. But of course, they both want the NXT Championship and they both want to be at the top of the men's division. This no doubt will cause some trouble and chaos in this match, and it's most likely going to end up with them costing each other the match. And then we have Joe Hendry, who I feel like I can see them having Joe retain because he is one of their top stars in the men's division. But at the same time, I think he's more than ready for a call up. And he kind of already had a little stint on the main roster even before winning the NXT championship. So I feel like he's more than ready and it's his time. And then we have Tony D'Angelo, who has been in NXT for a while, but only up until recently has debuted this new gimmick, this new attitude upon returning. And he did say he came back for two things. And one of them was to take out Dark State, check. And the second thing that he mentioned was to win the NXT championship. I think Tony D'Angelo is the dark horse, and I do think he's going to become the new NXT champion at Stand and Deliver. Let me know down in the comment section below, what are your predictions for this Saturday at NXT Stand and Deliver?